Chapter 5. Over the next cycles, Orion Pax kept up his correspondence with Megatron. These conversations honed Orion Pax's own sense of what he believed regarding castes, individuality, and free will. According to Megatron, their dialogue was also refining his ideas. "You force me to think clearly," Librarian, Megatron said via video link several cycles after their first interaction. "A leader needs this. Orion Pax thought that some of Megatron's ideas were still unclear. What exactly, he asked, did Megatron intend to do? Were they going to take their grievances to the High Council? What sort of plan was contemplated? "I have other associates considering these questions, too," Megatron said, and he would say no more. This made Orion Pax nervous for good reason, according to Jazz. "You need to be very sure that you know what you're getting into here," his friend said. "I'll stand by and watch, whatever happens, but you could be letting yourself in for serious consequences. Right now you're just talking, the minute you do more than that, there are laws involved. Are you prepared to break laws?" Because Orion Pax didn't have a good answer for this question, he asked it of Megatron. "Who makes the laws?" was Megatron's answer. "Did anyone consult you? Did anyone consult me?" Orion Pax had no answer for that, either. "Listen, my friend," Jazz said. "What would happen if any time one of us felt left out of the lawmaking process, he started a revolution? Can you imagine what this place would look like?" "No, Orion Pax said. "We're a long way from that. We've got the opposite, don't you see? Nobody ever says anything. Who decided that we should be in castes? What do our leaders say about it now?" "Nothing," was the answer to that. Sentinel Prime was not a visible leader, the High Council busied itself with the minutiae of governance and avoided the big questions. Across Cybertron, argued Megatron and Orion Pax had to agree, Cybertronians had grown lazy, satisfied with what was handed to them. "Is this the same race that built the space bridges?" Megatron asked rhetorically. "Are we still allied with the Allspark? Then why do we let others speak for us, act for us, decide what we will and will not do?" There was something different about him. Orion Pax could see it as well as any other sentient being who spent time in contact with Megatron. He was difficult to ignore, and when he spoke of individual freedom it was easy to think, no matter how many Cybertronians might be in his audience, that he was talking directly to you. Still, Orion Pax had never met him in person. He wasn't sure the risk was worth it. In truth, he wasn't sure what the risks were. Megatron began to encourage him. "If you would understand Cybertron, Librarian, you must seek Aeon, he said. "Maybe if you saw Icon, you would understand Cybertron better yourself," countered Orion Pax. "Oh, I will see Icon. Have no fear of that," Megatron said. Something about the tone of his voice made Orion Pax want to change the subject. The last thing he wanted to do was provoke a fight with Megatron when he was just beginning to understand what Megatron's ideas meant and what he, Orion Pax, had to contribute to the discussion. He believed some things in common with the hard-bitten survivor of Chaos pits, but in other ways he felt that despite their commonalities, there were fundamental differences in the way they approached the question of freedom and will. "Why Megatronus?" he asked. He had heard Megatron answer the question before, in slightly different ways. He moved along, refined his ideas and rhetoric. Orion Pax realized he was witnessing the growth and rise of a genuinely important leader, but of what? And where would he lead? "I assume the name of one of the 13 because although only one of them ever called himself the Fallen, they all fell away from their original mission. They all failed their future, which is our present. I took that name because the principles I believe in have fallen. Freedom has no caste, so there is no place for it in Cybertron today. History makes some bots villains for doing what they thought was right. If that happens to me as well, so be it. I can only do what is the right thing to do." Megatron cycled through his alt-form weapons as he spoke. At the periphery of the screen, Orion Pax could see some of Megatron's inner circle. He only knew two of them, Soundwave and Shockwave. Soundwave carried many cons, which made Orion Pax nervous. Many cons made him think of surveillance and treachery. Shockwave was cold and formal, a dedicated scientist out of place among the bulk of Megatron's followers. It seemed, to judge from the single example of Shockwave, that Megatron was beginning to realize his goal of bringing different castes together. Scientists and steelworkers, let alone gladiators, seldom mixed unless one was giving the other orders, and that relationship, Orion Pax could see, was reversed here. Megatron was clearly in charge. In the pits of Kaon there is no second guessing, he continued. There are no shades of gray, no fine distinctions. You find those in the Hall of Records, perhaps, but not here. Down here you make a decision and commit to it with every atom, or else you die. Orion Pax looked around. He was alone in his wing of the Hall of Records, and had done what he could to insulate this channel from the normal data harvesting protocols that applied to traffic into and out of the hall. Still, he spoke quietly. You really think the 13 thought about their actions this way? It doesn't matter to me, Megatron said. Megatronus has been gone for a long time. I am here. You are here. What we do is not up to Megatronus, or to Leech Maximo, or any other myth. What we do is up to us. Who is us? Orion Pax asked a few solar cycles later. Whoever wants to be, Megatron said with a laugh. When you retaking on the world, you can be choosy about who wants to be on your side. So you have followers in Kaon, Orion Pax said. Where else? That's the kind of question a spy would ask. If you were worried about that, we would have stopped talking a long time ago. Perhaps, perhaps not. Soundwave says I should worry that you will betray me. Megatron laughed. I say back to him that if I thought you were going to betray me, I would meet you in the arena and settle things like warriors. Would you fight me in the ring for your principles, librarian? Can you tell your principles from mine? I think I can, Orion Pax said. And I would fight anyone for them. As he said it, he realized it was true. Always Orion Pax had known that there was a larger world beyond the mundane horizons of the work he did and the caste he was part of. Hearing Megatron speak had lit a fire inside him that was not Megatron's fire, but Orion Pax's. It was as if his spark had never come to its full brightness until it had struck against the revolutionary ideas of this criminal gladiator. Then I will tell you. I have followers in Blaster City and across the Badlands to Slaughter City. I could make the spaceport at Hydrax mine tomorrow, Megatron said, as Orion Pax fit those place names into a map of Cybertron in his mind. And across Cybertron, there are pockets of Cybertronians who hear me. They will follow when I call them into action. Which will be ? When the time is right. Remember, librarian. We have still never met. Until we can look each other in the face, we are discussing things that might never happen, the way we look up at the pieces of a space bridge and ask ourselves what it would be like if we could cross again to Velocitron or the hub. We are friends, having a friendly conversation about things we believe. Friends, thought Orion Pax. As unlikely as it might have seemed, this was correct. He was becoming friends with an agitator, a criminal, and possible traitor to the council. But in a society that was most of the way along a descent into stasis, what else could any right-thinking Cybertronian do? Tricky question, said Jazz when Orion Pax asked him later. IV started to look into these things. Your friend Megatronus or Megatron has an interesting history. I know about his history, Orion Pax said. Jazz said, I know you do. But I did not, and I thought I would look and see what I could find. What do you think he wants, Pax? Orion Pax thought about this question for a long time. He wants the Cybertron that used to be, he said eventually. The Cybertron where you were not doomed to a guild and caste the moment you emerged from the well of all sparks. The Cybertron where any Cybertronian could become anything. The Cybertron that looked to the stars, that fought the quintessence, that challenged itself to reach out and see how far its grasp could extend. That has what you want, Jazz said. It's time you stopped pretending otherwise. Again Orion Pax took some time to think. Yes, it is, he agreed. Good. I want to say you wrong. I will tell you, my friend, that this is a dangerous line of thought. How do you think the upper castes are going to react to this idea? Do you think they want to return to the days when a Cybertronian's success was based on merit and dedication? Jazz laughed at his own sarcasm. If I can make myself do what's right, said Orion Pax, how can I expect anyone else to ? Jazz nodded. They looked up into the endless black of the sky. Fine, Jazz said. Just so you're not surprised when you find out that everyone else isn't likely to hold themselves to the same standard. Did I tell you that Megatron said he'd fight me if he thought I was going to betray him? Orion Pax said. Very funny, Jazz said. He did not. Then watch your back, Jazz said. If he brought that up, he has already half convinced himself it will eventually happen. Orion Pax laughed. Then he said, I better get practicing and learn how to fight. And he did, carving out time every solar cycle to practice with others of his caste. He worked on the alt-form weapons he could create from his protoform, the ion cannon and energon blasters, and he learned the ins and outs of the sword and axe that he could carry or manifest as another partial alteration. As he fought these mock battles, he thought of Megatron, who for most of his existence had fought such battles for the stakes of his thirst for knowledge, both of the past and of all the things about present-day Cybertron he had never thought worth knowing, kept him coming back. That, and his responsibility to his caste. There the conflict inherent in his friendship with Megatron presented itself most clearly. It was because he was friends with Megatron that he had a rekindled interest in what was happening around him in this Cybertron that he lived on and experienced with other Cybertronians. Yet if he kept any loyalty to his caste, that brought him into conflict with Megatron, who would abolish all castes immediately upon gaining the power to do so. And wouldn't I as well? Orion Pax asked himself. The answer was, perhaps. He understood Megatron's reasons, and perhaps even more than the Gladiator did. Orion Pax wanted the freedom and initiative that would come with the end of caste and guild. Where they differed, Orion Pax suspected, was in method. He believed the change could be created through political means, spreading new ideas, watching them catch fire, attracting enough followers to their vision that eventually the High Council and Sentinel Prime would have to take notice. That was the vision of Orion Pax. Sometimes he was concerned that Megatron did not have as much patience as he did. Orion Pax was beginning to attract followers of his own, though. Messages were appearing that mentioned him and not Megatron, or mentioned Megatron only as secondary to him. He was, despite his best efforts at remaining concealed, becoming known. Things were going to come to a head very shortly. It was time, at last, to meet Megatron face to face. Orion Pax looked at the screen of his workstation. He dictated a note to Alpha Trion asking for time free of work. On his way out of the Hall of Records, the archivist contacted him directly, but Orion Pax did not answer. He could not think of what to say, could not take the chance that Alpha Trion would convince him not to go. He saw clearly what needed to be done. All that remained was to do it. Well, that's the ending of that chapter. I do hope you enjoy this video. If you like to see more, remember to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel and leave a comment down below. Until next time.